everybody, it's Alex here, and I'm doing part 3 of my countdown. Starting off with 1998 is a movie that I think anybody who knows me well enough saw this one coming, but my favorite movie from 1998 is The Big Lebowski. Now, why do I say that anybody who knows me well enough saw this one coming? Well, let's see. I have the book, I'm a Lebowski, You're a Lebowski. You can't see it from this angle, but I have my dude poster hanging above my computer. I have my dude shirt for Halloween one year, back when I still had a beard. I went as the dude. I recreated a scene, the Smokey scene specifically, with some friends for a class project. And I'm not gonna lie, actually attending a Lebowski Fest is one of my bucket list items, so it's accurate to say that I am quite the achiever. But anyway, what is it about this movie that creates such a tremendous cult following? I think there really are a lot of things to really like about it. It's not just that it's funny. I mean, there are a lot of movies that are funny, but it's just how creative and off the wall the humor is, and the fact that just about every line is quotable for its genuinely quirky nature. And it's also a matter where I think every character pretty much is memorable. And I also think it's fair to point out that this is one of the few movies where I honestly don't think that there's a wasted scene in the whole movie, and that's a very rare accomplishment. And the dude, I talked about the characters, and there's a reason that the dude is such an endearing character. I mean, first of all, Jeff Bridges is just, you know, you watch this movie and you believe that Jeff Bridges is this character. I mean, someone else playing this character would be like someone else besides Peter Falk playing Columbo, or if someone besides Vincent Price played Ratigan. You just can't imagine it. And I guess there's a lot of sympathy for the character, because it's not just that he's laid back and funny and has a lot of eccentric habits, like using a check for a small amount of money, or but you really do kind of empathize with him, because he's not on some grand adventure to save the world. He's just someone who had a bad situation thrust on him, and he's just trying to do what he can to solve the problem, and he actually does do the right thing, even if the dude's just trying to get his rug back. Plus, it's so funny comparing the difference, but it's so funny how he and Walter are just polar opposites. The dude is normally laid back and calm, Walter is pretty much always on edge, except for the fact that it's like whenever there's a situation where they should be upset, then Walter's calm. Donnie is a very funny character. He practically does nothing except take abuse from Walter, yet he's still such a memorable and endearing character. Julianne Moore is so good. She's another actress who I think just absorbs herself in every role she does. And this is another movie I could talk about for hours. I really recommend this book, I'm a Lebowski, You're a Lebowski, because they go into so much more detail than I ever could. But if you haven't seen it, I know a lot of people have, check it out. Now it's on to 1999, and my favorite movie from that year is Toy Story 2. I'm sure Movie Fan 12 will be happy to hear this one, because it was his favorite movie from '99 as well. And this is actually the first movie on this list that I actually got to see in theaters. I want to point out, I do absolutely love the first Toy Story. I thought I actually saw that one in theaters as well. I thought it was a really good movie, and I remember at the time I was so blown away at how some of the things looked, like when that soldier was peeking behind the was peeking behind the bedpost at the not the bedpost, the wall at the beginning of the movie, I remember being blown away at how real that looked, and some of the stuff that's aged well, like that spoon. I know that seems like such a small detail, but the fact that that looks so much like a real spoon, and so I really liked the first Toy Story. So with sequels, I'm sure you can imagine how surprised I was when I liked this one so much more. I talked about the Terminator Terminator 2 being a natural progression of the story for that series. And what I like about this one is I think this is another natural progression. I think it was, well, even if it's debatable whether or not it was a natural progression, I think it was definitely a natural progression for the characters, because I think, now that Buzz doesn't have his fish out of water story, there's still a lot for him to do. I think it's funny how he's still so socially inept. Like when he tells Woody, "You'll be sitting by the fire eating delicious hot schmoes." They're called s'mores, Buzz. I also like the fact that this time it's not just Buzz and Woody that are on the adventure. Since Buzz is going out to rescue Woody, he brings the other toys along with him, so it's more of a group adventure than just a buddy film. Again, I like the fact that the first one was a buddy film. I just like the fact that there's more of the other characters in this film. And going back to what I said about Buzz, I like the fact that even though he's so socially inept, he's still a natural hero. Not to mention, this movie, from Woody's perspective, there's a very good character arc for him in that he's deciding whether or not to go back and live with Andy or live with go to the toy museum. And I'm not going to spoil it, because I'm, again, going back to what I said, am I really spoiling a movie this popular? But it's a really good, really emotional scene. And what impresses me with Pixar is that not only is this a very emotional movie, but it still manages to be a very funny movie. Like the Woody Roundup scene, I don't remember how the whole line goes, but when Woody talks to the animals, I'm gonna do my best to recreate. What the heck? He's like, what? Jesse and Prospector are stuck in a mine, and Prospector lit a stick of dynamite thinking it was a candle, but now they're about to explode? That stuff is just so funny. But yeah, I saw this in theaters, and I think this was the movie that really got this is the movie that really started that hot streak for Pixar, because Toy Story was good, A Bug's Life was okay, but I don't consider it one of their best movies. But I think this was the movie that really showed that Pixar meant business. And my favorite movie from 2000 is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Have you figured out yet that I'm kind of into the Coen brothers? 2000 was... It's funny, when I was first making this list, I thought that 2000 was kind of a bad year for movies. But when I was doing my research, I realized there were good movies that came out that year. Requiem for a Dream came out, Almost Famous came out. Oh, shoot, what else came out? Point is that good movies did come out that year, so I was incorrect in my assumption. But even though, oh yeah, Castaway came out in 2000. But anyway, even though other good movies did come out this year, and I admit that I was kind of close to picking Castaway, in terms of what entertained me, oh yeah, American Psycho also came out in 2000. Man, this was a better year than I realized. Anyway, the point is that as good as those movies were, I just liked Oh Brother, Where Art Thou that much more. I read somewhere that the Coen brothers actually did not read the Odyssey before they watched this movie, and yet really they still really did a good job of recreating the Odyssey. And one thing I have not talked about a lot in some of the movies I've talked about is I love the way this movie just creates this world. Like, I heard that they digitally altered every single frame of the movie to look a certain way, and it really does just immerse you in this world. And I have a mild confession. The first time I saw this movie, I didn't like it as much. I did enjoy it, but but I recently revisited it and realized just how good this movie is. And there are so many things to go for it. It is a very funny movie, and as always, the Coen brothers have that distinct, practically unmatched style with a lot of really funny lines, like when they meet the blues musician who said he sold his soul to Satan. I love George Clooney's line, "Ah, well, these two just got baptized, you sold your soul to Satan, I'm the only one that remains unaffiliated." And that's another thing. I really like George Clooney's character, how he's not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he still talks in this very eloquent manner. And this movie had it actually was one of the best-selling soundtracks ever, and I think what you could chalk that one up to is the fact that the soundtrack was, I think what made this soundtrack such a hit was the fact that it was like nothing else on the market. You know, you buy, a lot of soundtracks are just like random song compilations. Well, this was actually a truly unique CD. You weren't just buying some random songs, you were really buying a CD of fresh music. And I think that's a really good summation for this movie in general. It's a really unique movie. My favorite movie from 2001, The Royal Tenenbaums. Although my favorite Wes Anderson movie is The Life Aquatic, I do have to pick the movies by year, and, well, this was the movie that came out that year. It's kind of funny, I saw this around the time it came out. I was only 13 at the time. It's not one of those movies where it's like, I'm kind of surprised I liked it as much as I did, because I think it may have been a little obtuse for my 13-year-old mind, but at the same time, it's still, I still enjoyed it. But there is a lot going on in this movie. It's essentially about a patriarch trying to get back together with his family, yet he's not exactly the best guy in the world. He's a bit of a scumbag, he's a liar, a chiseler, call him what you will. And I think one of the things that works for this movie is that it's this big ensemble cast, but they're all very quirky and well-defined characters. And it is a really good cast. You've got Gene Hackman, Bill Murray, Danny Glover, Ben Stiller, Gwyneth Paltrow, the Wilson brothers. But not only are they in this movie, but you see a lot of dimensions to their personalities. You really see them doing stuff you don't normally see them do. For example, Ben Stiller is doing a more serious role in this movie, and I think he's really good at playing serious. I mean, the last movie he was in that I really liked was The Second Night at the Museum movie, and yeah, he was doing his normal nice guy stuff. Well, Tower Heist was, Tower Heist was okay, not a great movie. So yeah, Night at the Museum 2 was the last movie I really liked that he was in, but it is interesting to see him flex his acting a little bit, and Gwyneth Paltrow is definitely playing someone who's a little more dour, a little more solemn. Plus, I think this was the. Well, let me check for a second, because I'm tempted to say that this was the last really good movie that Gene Hackman starred in, but I'm double checking on that because I really don't want to eat my words on that one. He also after this he also made Behind Enemy Lines and Runaway Jury, which haven't seen, so I can't comment on them. And he also made Welcome to Mooseport. I have my suspicions on those movies, but I'm not going to comment on them because I can't see them. For all I know, they could be really good. For all I know, they could be rubbish. Excuse me. But also, before this, Wes Anderson made Rushmore, and I think this was actually a step up from that movie. It's actually been a while since I've watched Rushmore, partly because I'm not the biggest fan of Jason Schwartzman in the world, and I have my reasons. And I think one of the reasons I like this more is because, oh, and for the record, I totally own Rushmore on DVD, but anyway, I think I just liked this more because it was just, more of an ensemble film. It really is interesting how it manages to be both a very funny movie and at the same time a very sad movie. It is interesting how the movie, you kind of feel sorry for this family because of all the terrible things that Gene Hackman did to him. I mean, just the fact that he crap, I'm giving a spoiler, aren't I? He lied about having cancer just to get his family back together, but at the same time it's kind of funny some of the stuff he pulls, like he put his grandchildren's name down as at a hotel so he could stash his stuff. That stuff is really funny. So the fact that I just like mixed genre movies like this because life is full of different emotions, so I think it's fair to expect a movie to make you feel different things. That's one of the reasons I like mixed genres movies so much, and that's one of the reasons I like this movie so much.